Whew. Back in 2004, when all the storms hit back to back to back, I was dating this guy, and he couldn't get in touch with me. You know, back then, it wasn't like cell phone towers are like they are now. And that was my first encounter with abuse. When he finally came to my house, he was like, I was worried about you. Where are you? I said, I was here, you know. And he pushed me. And being the person I used to be, I pushed him back. And he was like, I'm not playing with you. And he pushed me again. And then he apologized. So many times after that, they apologize. And then somehow, you get so easily broken because you've always had issues with self-esteem, finding love, being loved. You get broken down so easy. And that's what happened to me. My abuse was not only physical, but it was sexually, it was financially, mentally. Everything was taken from me. It was times I didn't even know how I was going to pay my bills because my bank account stayed in the negative. But guess what? I was afraid to tell anybody. I was afraid to ask for help. And so I went on with it. And a lot of people ask me, why did you stay? And I say, because I love my dad. And I love my children because I know if my daddy knew, he would have killed him instantly. It was times I asked God, why couldn't I kill him? But it wasn't for me to kill him. It was for me to learn a lot of lessons out of this. And not only did I learn a lot, I grew a lot. But it was times that he would just say, oh, you B, you nasty. You want to do this, you like women, you don't like men, and you know, and then he would just backhand me. He would hit me, and every time he hit me, it would knock me unconscious. It would knock me out, and I'm like, why are you hitting me? And I just learned to take licks and try to be quiet. And then when I noticed that wasn't helping, I tried to fix myself up. But in the house, I would have to stay in the room. My daughter, she was there. And I know she's never really heard my detailed story, but I heard you. And I know I used to think she's gonna hate me for having to be locked in a room with this man all the time, where not knowing whether she hearing me get beat or what. I didn't know whether she heard me, but I heard her. And so, on about my story, we went to get his daughter. He had a daughter. And we went to Miami to get his daughter. He hadn't seen her in many years. I had never met her. But he was my boyfriend, so I was going with him. And many times I took trips and left my kid, my daughter. So when we got there, when we got to Miami, we was at the traffic light. And you know, automatically you look over. You at the traffic light, you look over. I looked over, and it was a car with men in it. Bam! He hit me so hard, my head hit the window. And the guys were looking, and I was looking at them like, please don't say nothing, please. So we drove off, and when we got to his daughter's house, she was 13, 14, but she knew something was wrong. And all the way back, we didn't really talk because I didn't know her. I just made small talk. And when we got back, We went to Wild Adventures. We went on a trip. And when we came back, this baby told me, she said, you gotta leave him because he's gonna kill you. I was like, what? She said, you gotta leave him because he's gonna kill you. And I'm like, child don't know what she, talking about. But she knew what she was talking about. So I tried to get better too with things. I would go, and when I would get dressed and get my hair done to try to look good, he'll make me sit in the bathtub. The first time he did it, I was like, sit in the bathtub? I said, what I'm gonna sit in the bathtub for? He said, cause, be you trying to look good for somebody else. And he would just stand there and urinate all over me. All because I tried to look good for him. And each time, I didn't want to look good for him anymore. I didn't want to do that because I got tired of sitting in the bathtub. I got tired of sitting in the bathtub. He would say, open your mouth. I say, I never open my mouth. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. But I would get out and he would beat me. After he's already urinated all over me. And so, when the little girl told me, she said, can you promise me something? I said, yeah. She said, promise me you're going to leave him. And I say, okay, I'm going to leave him. And so my neighbor, I lived in an apartment complex where you didn't supposed to touch the people locks or anything. And my neighbor name was Scott. I say, Scott, when I leave, can you change my lock? And he was like, what's going on? He say, I be hearing stuff. I said, oh, we just be playing. I said, but can you change my locks? He said, I'll change your locks. And so when we took his daughter back, I had made her a promise that I would leave him. And when we came back, and when he dropped me off, my daughter wasn't home, or, so I ran in the house. When I got my stuff out the truck, I say, don't you ever come back here, you destroyed my life, you this, and I know that my locks was changed so I can run in the house, and I would be safe. And that's what I did. And for a long time, for a little while, he would call me. And the inside of us, sometimes, even though we went through all of this, we still want to answer that call. We still want to answer that call. But I've learned through all of this, the best thing I did was not answer the call. Amen. And change my phone number. Yep. And one night, and then one of the biggest things I did in my life after all that was surrender my life to Christ. Amen. I surrendered my life to Christ because I felt I had been through so much, not only doing that, but growing up. I had been through so much. And so one night I went to get gas. I was at the Pilot on Highway 326. And I saw him. It was like 6-8 months later. And he said, hey. I said, hey, what's up? And, we just started conversating. Just general talking and how you been? How the kids? And, so we pulled around. After all that time, you don't think nobody has anything anymore for you. They're going on with their lives. They're doing what they want to do. So we pulled around, he leaning in the window. And before I knew it, my door was open, he was in, bam, I was out. I say, this is why I left you. Because you destroyed my life. B, you destroyed my life. You destroyed my life. Bam, and he just backhanded me. And my nose went to bleeding. And it was a guy picking up trash in the parking lot. And I rolled my window down a little bit. He said, roll it up, roll it up. I say, sir, can you help me because he's going to kill me? And the guy just looked at me, but he saw my face. And I rolled the window back up, and he hit me one more time, and when I came to, I was in his lap. My head was laying in his lap. And he asked me to give him a reason. He said, give me a reason not to do this. Not to blow your effing brains out. He said, because when I do you, I'm going to do me. I say, my children need me. He say, my children needed me. But you took that away from me because his mom wouldn't let him see his daughter again. I didn't take that away from him. He took that away from him. And when he say, as soon as I do you, I'm going to do me. And I asked him, I say, just take the barrel off my head. Don't let me feel it. And I reached up and I say, God, don't let my children grieve all their lives over me and my silly mistake that I made. When I woke up, when I came to, I was inside the Wendy's on the floor. How I got there, I know it was God. I know it was God because I don't even remember getting out my car, walking in the Wendy's. All I remember hearing was the guy say, come on, ma'am, come on, he gone, he gone. I said, why didn't you call the police? He said, if I would have called him, I would have had to leave you. He was the only witness of that night. He was the only witness. I got in my car and I called my nephew. I called my son. He didn't answer. I called my nephew. He picked up. And then the next thing I called my dad. And when I got home, and I called my neighbor, she was a little feisty girl. Her name was Tanya too. She said, we're going to call the police. And when the police came, he was so good. He took pictures of, the regular stuff. They took pictures of my face and all of that. And so the officer would come by every other day. I didn't know about the things, the shelters. I didn't know about advocates. I didn't know about any of that stuff. It's all because I never looked into it. I never looked into it. And one thing I can say is that we have some amazing, amazing advocates for domestic violence around here. Came by, and on the third day, he said, ma'am, he said, do you have anybody you can go stay with? I say, no. He said, I want you to try talking to the people at the shelter. I'm like, shelter? That's the next thing I didn't want to do. He said, because your daddy been sleeping in these bushes for 3 nights. He was waiting on him to come back. He was waiting on him to come back. Yeah. He was going to kill him. So, on to my court hearing. The judge, when I went for my injunction, the judge say, oh, I hear you just a jealous girlfriend. I was like, a jealous girlfriend? He said, yeah, he wants somebody else, but you want him. I don't want him. I'm trying to save myself. I'm trying to save myself. And I'm bringing this up because 80% of the women that went up before me dropped the injunctions. They say, well, we don't want to do it. We want to drop it. We want to drop it. And I got up there to fight for myself, and he called me a jealous girlfriend. And I was like, I'm not a jealous girlfriend. I said, well, can you tell him not to come to my job? I worked in the hospital. And many days I went to work, my doctors would think I was having passionate nights because I had these hickeys. but he would suck me so hard and spit my blood, and I would just have a hematoma. Just suck me and spit my blood. He was evil. He was evil. But Donna was one of the first ones to ask me for my deposition from the judge, so he can literally stop hearing family law. We needed to be saved as domestic survivors. We needed to be saved. We didn't need somebody on the bench that wasn't going to help us.
Amen.
And he kept talking about,
Yes.
do you want to live without her for 6 months? 6 months. I told him. So my dad got up, and when my dad walked out, he kicked the door. The judge wanted the bailiffs to go after my dad. Why? He hurt his baby. But I just want to say, women, we have to stick together. Never, ever turn a deaf ear on someone who needs you. I didn't speak up. But if you see something, please say something.
Yes.
Try to talk to them and let them know. Don't tell them, oh, you better leave. All you need to do is direct them where they need to go. The resources, because we have so many resources that is out there to help us. And in the end, because the guy that witnessed, I asked the judge about his guns. He say he don't have any guns. He say. But the witness didn't see the gun because the car was dark. But only thing he got, and I'm praying for tougher laws, he had to do,
Yes.
I think it was community service, anger management, these type of things. But we need tougher laws for domestic violence.
Yes.
We need these guys to be put away and stop doing. And first, these guys have issues of their own, and it's not just women that are domestic violence victims. I hate to say victims because you say you're the one, but it's men too.
Yes.
But let's not turn a deaf ear to the people who need our help the most. And also, 2 years later, his daughter was killed.
Oh.
And that's why I say I knew she was an angel sent
Yes.
to help me be delivered from evil.
Yes.
So again, I just want to thank you guys. I know I jumped around my story, but we got a long night to go. But know that I'm a survivor. And after all of this, after all of that I went through, I was diagnosed with an incurable cancer. But right now, I'm blessed, I'm grateful, and I'm thankful that I am a survivor. And I'm here to tell
Yes.
my story.